When 8-year-old Zuri Washington crashed in a billionaire Ethan Carlisle at the charity gala, spilling juice on his Italian shoes, she noticed something odd about the champagne glass a waiter was bringing him. The same powdery film she'd seen on her grandmother's medicine cups. 3 words changed everything. Don't drink that. His fiancée Vanessa's smile tightened imperceptibly while Ethan laughed it off. But later that night, he couldn't stop thinking about the residue on the rim, the child's certainty, and the way Vanessa had insisted he was being paranoid about nothing. He had no idea that this small girl from the projects, whose aunt worked catering to make rent, had just saved his life. Just before we get back to it, I'd love to know where you're watching from today, and if you're enjoying these stories, make sure you're subscribed. The chandeliers in the Old City Museum cast golden light across marble floors that had seen better days. Tonight, though, everything gleamed with fresh polish and purpose. The charity gala was in full swing, crystal glasses catching the light as they moved from hand to hand like tiny stars navigating through a sea of designer gowns and tailored suits. Ethan Carlisle stood near the center of it all, his presence commanding without trying. At 38, he had the kind of face that looked good on magazine covers. Sharp jawline, eyes that missed nothing, and a smile that could close million-dollar deals or charm a room full of skeptics. Tonight, he wore that smile for the cameras, his arm linked with Vanessa Hale's. Vanessa was everything a billionaire's fiancée should be. Her red dress hugged her figure perfectly, her blonde hair swept up to show off the diamond earrings Ethan had given her last month. She moved through the crowd like water, smooth and inevitable, stopping to chat with the mayor's wife here, a senator's aide there. Her laugh rang out at just the right moments, musical and warm. Another successful evening, she murmured to Ethan between photo ops. The Children's Foundation will be thrilled with tonight's numbers. Ethan nodded, though his attention had drifted to a corner of the room where the caterers were setting up another round of champagne. Among the black uniformed staff, a small figure stood out, a young black girl, maybe 8 years old, clutching a worn canvas tote bag with a faded Spider-Man patch on the side. Zuri Washington wasn't supposed to be here, not really. Her Aunt Lila worked part-time for the catering company, picking up shifts when she could between her main job at the grocery store. Tonight, the babysitter had canceled, and Lila had no choice but to bring Zuri along, tucking her into a corner with strict instructions to stay quiet and out of sight. But Zuri had never been good at staying still. She watched everything with those big brown eyes that seemed to catch details others missed, like how that woman in the green dress kept checking her phone every 30 seconds, or how the man by the bar kept touching his wedding ring like he'd forgotten it was there, or how one of the champagne glasses on the tray heading toward the main stage had something different about it. The glass had a faint, filmy crescent on the rim, barely visible unless you were looking at just the right angle. Zuri knew that look. She'd seen it on medicine bottles at home, the ones her grandma left behind when she passed. That bitter, powdery residue that meant someone had crushed pills. She watched the tray move through the crowd, tracked its path. The waiter, no, wait, he wasn't one of the regular crew she'd been watching all night, steered it deliberately, weaving between guests until he reached the spot where Ethan Carlisle would stand for the toast. The glass with the residue was placed precisely at the corner of the table, right where someone would naturally reach if they were standing at the podium. The master of ceremonies, a silver-haired man with a voice like a game show host, tapped the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. It's time to honor the man whose generosity has made tonight possible." The crowd turned toward the stage. Vanessa took Ethan's arm, her fingers pressing gently into his sleeve. "Come on, darling. They're waiting for us." They moved toward the podium together, Vanessa's heels clicking against the marble. A photographer positioned himself for the perfect shot. Ethan reached for the champagne glass, the one closest to his hand, the one with the faint crescent on the rim. Zuri's body moved before her mind caught up. She darted between legs and around gowns, her small size letting her slip through gaps adults couldn't navigate. She popped out, right beside Ethan, just as his fingers wrapped around the stem of the glass. "Don't drink that." Her voice cut through the polite murmur of the crowd like a fire alarm. Everything stopped. Conversations died mid-sentence. The photographer's flash went off at the wrong moment, capturing Ethan's startled expression and Vanessa's smile freezing on her face. Ethan looked down at the girl. She stood there in her hand-me-down dress, the one Aunt Lila had gotten from the church donation box, and tried to make fancy with a ribbon belt. Her chin was up, defiant, but her hands were shaking a little. "I'm sorry, what?" Ethan's voice was gentle, curious rather than angry. "The glass," Zuri said, pointing. "There's something on it. See? Right there." Ethan lifted the glass to the light. There was that faint, powdery film on the rim. His eyes sharpened, the businessman's mind clicking into gear. He set the glass down carefully, like it might explode. "Well," he said, loud enough for the crowd to hear, forcing his voice to stay light. "Looks like we have a future safety inspector here. Good eye, young lady." He reached for a different glass from a passing tray, made a show of examining it closely. "This one passes inspection." The crowd laughed, tension breaking. Vanessa's smile reformed, though something flickered behind her eyes. "How wonderful," she said, her voice honey-sweet. "Such an observant little girl. What's your name, sweetheart?" "Zuri," the girl said, shrinking back a little from all the attention. "Well, Zuri," Vanessa continued, "you're quite the hero tonight. Though I'm sure it was just a water spot or some such thing. These old glasses, you know how it is." But Ethan had crouched down to Zuri's level, his expensive suit be damned. "How did you know?" he asked quietly, while the crowd's attention started to drift back to their conversations. Zuri shrugged, embarrassed now. "My grandma had pills that smelled like that. Bitter. Made the rim of her water glass look cloudy sometimes when she didn't wash it good." Ethan studied her for a moment, then held out his fist. "You've got sharp eyes, Zuri." "Thank you." She bumped his fist with her small one, a tiny smile breaking through. "Ethan, darling," Vanessa's voice had an edge now, barely noticeable. "The speech." "Right." He stood, but not before pulling out his phone and snapping a quick photo of the abandoned glass. "Let me just have someone check this. Can't be too careful." He gave the toast, said all the right words about community and responsibility and giving back. But his mind was elsewhere, replaying the moment, the girl's certainty, the residue on the glass that shouldn't have been there. After the applause died down, Ethan stepped out onto the balcony for air. The security guard, Marcus, followed him out. "Everything all right, Mr. Carlisle?" "That waiter who brought the champagne to the podium table," Ethan said. "Did you recognize him?" Marcus frowned. "Now that you mention it, no. Saw him leave right after the toast was called. Through the service exit. Thought it was odd. Shift change isn't for another hour." "Give me the security footage from tonight." "All of it." "Yes, sir." The balcony door opened behind them. Vanessa appeared, her silhouette elegant against the light from inside. "Everything okay out here?" "Fine," Ethan said. "Just needed some air." She moved closer, her perfume wrapping around him. "That was strange, wasn't it? With the little girl? Strange that a kid noticed something everyone else missed?" "Oh, Ethan." She laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm sure it was nothing. Probably just an unwashed glass. You know how these event spaces can be." She glanced at his pocket where he'd slipped his phone. "You took a picture?" "Habit. Document everything. You know me." "I do," she said softly. "That's what I love about you. Always so thorough." She leaned against him. "Though sometimes I worry you're too suspicious. Not everyone's out to get you, darling." Back inside, Aunt Lila had materialized from the service area, looking harried. She'd heard about the commotion, found Zuri standing alone by the dessert table, methodically counting the petit fours. "Zuri Michelle Washington," Lila said, her voice a mix of relief and exasperation. "What did I tell you about staying put?" "I'm sorry, Aunt Lila." But the man was going to drink something bad. Ethan appeared beside them. "She did the right thing. Your niece might have saved me from a very unpleasant evening." Lila looked at him warily. Rich people didn't usually talk to people like her except to complain. She didn't mean any trouble. No trouble at all. In fact, I owe her a thank you. Can I offer you both a ride home? My driver's just outside." "That's kind of you, but we're fine," Lila said quickly. She'd learned not to take charity from rich folks. There were always strings. Ethan seemed to understand. "Then let me do this," he turned to one of the catering managers. "Pack up all the leftover desserts. Have them delivered to..." He looked at Lila questioningly. "The Riverside Shelter," she said slowly. "On MLK Boulevard. To the Riverside Shelter. Tonight." Zuri's eyes went wide. "All the cake. All of it," Ethan confirmed. "Heroes deserve cake." As Lila led Zuri away, Vanessa appeared at Ethan's elbow. "That was generous of you." "It was nothing. You have such a good heart," she said, then added more quietly, "Just be careful with strays, darling. People see your kindness and they want things. They create stories, make themselves important to your life." The word strays sat wrong in Ethan's chest. "She's a child, Vanessa. Of course. I didn't mean anything by it." She squeezed his arm. "I'm just protective of you. Of us." Later that night, back in his townhouse, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat in his study, the photo of the champagne glass enlarged on his laptop screen. The residue was definitely there, catching the light in a way that looked nothing like a water spot. He texted Raul, his driver, "Need you to get the gala security footage tomorrow. All angles." Then he messaged Priya Desai, his chief of staff. "Pull the complete vendor list from tonight's event. Every single contractor." He was probably being paranoid. Vanessa was right about that much. He did tend to see threats where none existed. But that little girl's face, the certainty in her voice when she'd said, "Don't drink that." In her bedroom across town, Vanessa sat at her vanity, removing her jewelry piece by piece. Her phone buzzed. A text preview appeared briefly. "Gee, everything in motion?" She locked the phone without reading the full message, placed it face down on the nightstand. Then she climbed into bed beside Ethan, who had finally come upstairs. She kissed his shoulder gently. "Can't sleep?" she asked. "Just thinking. About nothing important." She curled against him, her breath warm on his neck. "I love you, you know. I just want you to be happy. And safe." Ethan stared at the ceiling, seeing again that faint crescent of residue, hearing again that small, brave voice, "Don't drink that." Something was beginning that he couldn't quite name yet. But he knew, with the instinct that had built his empire, that the little girl named Zuri had done more than prevent an unpleasant evening. She might have saved his life. The morning after the gala, Ethan woke to sunlight streaming through his bedroom windows and the smell of fresh coffee. Vanessa was already up, humming in the kitchen. She appeared in the doorway carrying a tray with breakfast, egg whites, whole grain toast, fresh fruit, and his coffee exactly how he liked it. "Morning, sleepy head," she said, setting the tray on the nightstand. "I thought you could use a proper breakfast after last night's excitement." Ethan sat up, studying her. In the morning light, without makeup, she looked younger, softer. "You didn't have to do this. I wanted to. Besides, I owe you an apology." She sat on the edge of the bed. "I was harsh last night, calling that little girl a stray. That was unkind of me. It was. I know. She sighed. "I see how people look at you sometimes, Ethan. Like you're a wallet with legs. I get protective, but that's no excuse." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small packet. "I brought you your vitamins. The adaptogenic blend from my wellness line. You said it's been helping with the stress." Ethan took the packet, turned it over in his fingers. "Right. Thanks. You should take them with food," she said, watching him. He set the packet on the nightstand. "I will. Just want to finish my coffee first." Her eyes lingered on the packet for a moment, then she smiled. "I was thinking we could go upstate this weekend. Just the two of us. You've been so tense lately, and after that weird incident last night, I think you need a break. Maybe. Let me check with Priya about my schedule." "Of course." She kissed his forehead and left him to his breakfast. As soon as she was gone, Ethan picked up the vitamin packet again. It looked identical to the dozens she'd given him over the past few months. He'd been taking them religiously, trusting her expertise in wellness and nutrition. Now he slipped it into his pocket instead. His phone buzzed. "Priya, lab can see you in an hour. Sending address." An hour later, Ethan stood in a pristine lab in the financial district. Dr. Simon Kwan, a toxicology consultant he'd used for corporate due diligence before, held up the swab from the champagne glass rim. "Initial screening shows traces of a benzodiazepine," Kwan said. "The concentration is interesting, not enough to cause immediate impairment, but if someone were exposed to doses like this repeatedly, what would happen?" Subtle cognitive effects, slight memory gaps, increased suggestibility, difficulty concentrating. The person might attribute it to stress or fatigue. Over time, with repeated exposure, they might appear forgetful or confused. Make poor decisions. Ethan felt cold. Could someone use this to make someone appear mentally unstable? Absolutely, especially if they controlled the dosing schedule. Skip a few days, the person feels clear. Increase the dose during important moments. They seem erratic. Quan adjusted his glasses. Mr. Carlisle, has anyone suggested you've seemed stressed lately? Forgetful. Ethan thought of Vanessa's constant comments about his stress levels, her insistence that he needed her vitamins, her wellness routines. Maybe. I'd like to test anything you've been taking regularly. Supplements, medications, anything. Ethan pulled out the vitamin packet. Test this. While Quan worked, Ethan had Raul drive him to the address Priya had found for Zuri and her aunt. It was a rundown building on the east side, the kind where the doorbell panel had more crossed-out names than working buzzers. Laundry hung from fire escapes like urban prayer flags. He found them on the stoop, Lila braiding Zuri's hair while the girl read a library book. Mr. Carlisle? Lila stood up, wary. What are you doing here? I wanted to thank Zuri properly. He pulled out a gift card for the bookstore and a prepaid phone. The phone's for you, Ms. Washington. It has unlimited data. I thought, in case you ever needed anything. Lila looked at the phone like it might bite her. We don't need charity. It's not charity. Your niece did me a favor. This is me returning it. Zuri looked up from her book. Did you get sick from glass? No, thanks to you. He crouched down. You have good instincts, Zuri. Trust them. Lila accepted the phone reluctantly. Mr. Carlisle, I appreciate this, but you should know, attention from people like you brings problems for people like us. There are folks in this neighborhood who don't like it when outsiders come around. I understand. I'll be careful. As he stood to leave, Zuri said quietly, there was a lady at the party, in a green dress. She was watching when they put your glass on the table. Ethan froze. What did she look like? Tall. Red hair. She had a phone with a sparkly case. He made a mental note. Thank you, Zuri. You're very observant. Back in his car, Ethan called Priya. I need you to look at the prenup addendum Vanessa's lawyer sent over last week. The one about medical decisions? I flagged that as unusual. Look at it again. Specifically, anything about temporary cognitive impairment or medical guardianship. There was a pause. Ethan, what's going on? Just look, please. That afternoon, the museum sent over their security footage. Ethan watched it in his office with Priya. There, a figure in catering blacks, moving against the flow of the other servers. The person made a deliberate detour to the champagne station, spoke briefly with someone off camera, then positioned specific glasses on a tray. Can we enhance this? Ethan asked. Already trying. Priya zoomed in, but the face was obscured by shadow and angle. But look at this, she pointed to a timestamp. This person leaves through the service exit exactly 3 minutes after you were called for the toast. They knew the timing. Someone gave them a schedule. Priya pulled up another file. About that prenup addendum. There's language in here about medical guardianship in case of, and I quote, temporary cognitive impairment due to stress or other factors. It would give Vanessa full control over your medical decisions and, by extension, your business decisions during any period of deemed incapacity. Who determines incapacity? A doctor of her choosing, with a second opinion required only if you request it. But if you're deemed too impaired to make that request, she has complete control. Ethan sat back. When did this addendum appear? 3 weeks ago, right after you mentioned having those headaches. The headaches. He'd been having them for 2 months now, along with occasional dizziness. Vanessa had been so concerned, so helpful with her vitamins and wellness drinks. His phone rang. Dr. Quan, Mr. Carlisle, the vitamin packet you gave me tests clean. However, I should note that if someone wanted to administer something without creating a pattern, they wouldn't contaminate every dose. They'd be selective. How selective? Maybe 1 in 5, 1 in 10. Enough to create symptoms without leaving consistent evidence. The delivery method could vary too. A drink here, a supplement there. Have you noticed any patterns to when you feel worst? Ethan thought back. The headaches were always worse after date nights, after Vanessa's special wellness smoothies, after the dinner parties where she'd insist he try her latest tonic blend. Yes, he said quietly. I think I have. That evening, there was another event, a rooftop fundraiser for environmental causes. Vanessa had insisted they attend. We need to be seen together, she'd said. Show everyone we're solid after that strange moment at the gala. Ethan agreed, but this time he was watching. The fundraiser was smaller, more intimate. Maybe 50 people on a gorgeous rooftop garden. Vanessa worked the crowd while Ethan stood near the bar, nursing a whiskey he'd watched the bartender pour. Mr. Carlisle. A cheerful voice called out. A bartender he didn't recognize waved him over. I have something special for you. Ms. Hale said it's your favorite, our signature botanical cocktail. I didn't order anything. She ordered it for you, sir. Said you'd love it. The man was already mixing, his hands moving fast, almost too fast to follow. There we go. He set the drink on the bar with a flourish. Ethan saw immediately that same faint crescent on the rim, barely visible in the rooftop lighting. Sir, the voice came from behind him. Zuri stood by the service door, holding a box of supplies. She must have been helping her aunt with another catering job. Sir, your glass. The bartender's face changed. He grabbed the drink, mumbled something about using the wrong glass, and hurried toward the service stairs. By the time security got there, he was gone. Ethan looked down at Zuri. How do you keep showing up right when I need you? She shrugged. Aunt Lila says I got lucky timing. But Vanessa had appeared, her smile tight. Zuri, isn't it? What a coincidence, seeing you again. My aunt works catering, Zuri said, shrinking back for Vanessa's gaze. How lovely. Vanessa's voice was silk over steel. Though perhaps these events are a bit dangerous for a child. All these stares and sharp things. She's fine, Ethan said firmly. In fact, she's welcome anywhere I am. Vanessa's eyes flashed, but her smile never wavered. Of course, darling. I just worry. About everyone. Later, as they rode home, Vanessa was quiet. Then, that child seems to be everywhere lately. Coincidence? Is it? Or is someone using her to create drama? To make you paranoid? She touched his hand. Ethan, I'm worried about you. You're seeing threats everywhere. Taking pictures of glasses, having security check footage. This isn't like you. Maybe it's exactly like me. The real me, not the foggy version I've been lately. She pulled her hand back. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. I'm just tired. But he wasn't tired. For the first time in months, he felt absolutely clear. And he was beginning to understand that the woman beside him, the woman he'd planned to marry, might be the biggest threat he'd ever faced. That night, Priya called with more information. I found something. The bartender from tonight, he's not registered with any of the regular event staffing companies. But there's a payment record, a consulting fee paid by a shell company that traces back to, let me guess, Vanessa's wellness company. Her brother, actually, Gavin Hade. He's listed as a consultant for several of these shell companies. Gavin. Ethan had met him a few times. Smooth, charming, always talking about his next big venture. Always asking Ethan for investment advice. Always watching. Priya, I need you to dig deeper. Everything about Gavin, about these shell companies, about Vanessa's wellness brand. And I need you to do it quietly. Ethan, if what you're suspecting is true. I know. Trust me, I know. Across town, Zuri sat at the kitchen table doing homework while Aunt Lila cooked dinner. There was a knock at the door. Lila opened it to find a well-dressed man with Vanessa's same sharp features. Ms. Washington? My name is Gavin Hale. I'm with the Community Outreach Program. I wanted to talk to you about your niece's interaction with my brother-in-law at some recent events. Lila's eyes narrowed. She didn't do nothing wrong. Of course not. We're actually impressed by her observation skills. We'd like to offer her a scholarship opportunity. May I come in? Something in his smile made Lila's skin crawl. No, you can say what you need to say from there. Gavin's smile tightened. I'm trying to help. We don't need help. Everyone needs help, Ms. Washington. And sometimes refusing help can be problematic. Your niece seems to be in dangerous places lately. These events, all those stares and sharp things. Accidents happen. Is that a threat? It's a concern. From someone who cares about child safety. He pulled out a business card. Think about it. We'd hate for anything unfortunate to happen because a little girl was somewhere she shouldn't be. After he left, Lila deadbolted the door and pulled Zuri close. Aunt Lila, who was that? Nobody good, baby. Nobody good. She picked up the prepaid phone Ethan had given her and typed out a text. Someone just came to our door, asking about Zuri, making threats. His name was Gavin Hale. In his study, Ethan read the message and felt something cold settle in his chest. They were escalating, which meant he was right about everything, and which meant Zuri was now in danger because of him. He called Priya. I need a security detail on Zuri and her aunt. Discreet but constant. And I need Nora Briggs. The private investigator? Yes. It's time to stop playing defense. As he hung up, Vanessa appeared in the doorway. Working late again. Just wrapping up. She walked over, ran her fingers through his hair. You're so tense. Here, I made you some tea. That blend that helps you sleep. He looked at the cup she offered. Steam rose from it, carrying a faint, bitter scent he now recognized. Thanks, he said, taking it. I'll drink it in a minute. She watched him, waiting. It's best when it's hot. I know. I just need to finish this email. Her jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Of course. I'll be in bed. When she was gone, he poured the tea into a thermos, sealed it, and texted Quan. Need this tested. Priority. Tomorrow, he would start fighting back. But tonight, he would pretend to sleep beside a woman whose true face he was only beginning to see. A woman who whispered, I love you, in the darkness while possibly poisoning him slowly, carefully, with the patience of someone who knew exactly how to make him disappear without anyone suspecting a thing. Except for an 8-year-old girl with sharp eyes and perfect timing. The game was on. The morning after Gavin's visit, Ethan sat across from Nora Briggs in a private room at his office building. She was exactly what he needed, early 50s, sharp as a razor, with the kind of face that could blend into any crowd. She'd been a federal investigator before going private, and she had a reputation for being thorough. So let me understand this, Nora said, reviewing her notes. Your fiancé may be systematically drugging you to gain medical guardianship and control of your assets. That's the working theory. And your evidence is a child's observations and some residue on glasses. And a prenup addendum that appeared right when I started having symptoms. And shell companies paying unregistered bartenders. And her brother threatening the child who keeps warning me. Nora nodded slowly. I've seen this before. Not exactly this, but similar. The slow play, the gradual impairment, making the victim look unstable rather than attacked. It's smart. Evil, but smart. Can you help? I'll need access to everything. Financial records, security footage, staff lists, Vanessa's background, her brother's dealings, all of it. Priya will get you whatever you need. Good. First thing, we map her inner circle. Every person who's close to her, especially anyone with access to these events. Then we follow the money. These schemes always leave financial footprints. As Nora got to work, Ethan returned to his townhouse to find Vanessa in the living room with wedding planners. Fabric samples spread across the coffee table. Darling, she stood, kissing his cheek. Perfect timing. We're choosing linens for the reception. Vanessa, we need to talk. Privately. Her smile flickered. Of course. Could you give us a moment? She asked the planners. When they were alone, she turned to him. What's wrong? Why did Gavin visit that little girl's family last night? Her eyes widened in what looked like genuine surprise. Gavin did what? He went to their apartment. Made threats. I had no idea. Ethan, you know Gavin can be overzealous. He's probably just trying to protect us from people who might take advantage. By threatening a child? I'll talk to him. I promise. She moved closer, her hand on his chest. Ethan, I'm worried about you. Ever since that gala, you've been different. Suspicious of everything. Of me. Can you blame me? Someone tried to drug me. Twice. You don't know that for certain. And even if it's true, why would you think I'm involved? Her eyes filled with tears. Perfect, crystalline tears. I love you. I want to marry you, build a life with you. Why would I hurt you? For a moment, Ethan almost believed her. She was that good. But then he remembered the vitamin packets, the wellness drinks, the tea she'd made him last night. I don't know, he said finally. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Her tears stopped as quickly as they'd started. I see. Well, perhaps we should postpone the wedding planning until you've worked through whatever this is. Maybe we should. Something shifted in her face then, just for a second. The loving fiancé mask slipped, and underneath was something cold, calculating. Then it was gone, replaced by hurt and concern. I'll stay at my apartment tonight, she said softly. Give you some space to think. After she left, Ethan called Raoul. I need you to pick up Zuri and her aunt. Quietly, bring them to the safe hotel on Riverside. Is there a problem, sir? Just a precaution. That afternoon, Lila sat in the hotel room, looking uncomfortable, while Zuri explored every corner, amazed by the cleanliness, the tiny bottles of shampoo, the TV with cable. Mr. Carlisle, Lila said, we can't stay here. I have work. Zuri has school. I'll handle work and school. Right now, I need you both safe. Safe from what? Ethan sat down across from her. I think someone is trying to hurt me. Your niece has prevented it twice. That makes her a threat to them and a target. Lila's face hardened. That man who came to our door. He's part of this. He's Vanessa's brother. Your fiancé is trying to hurt you. Lila shook her head. Rich people problems are something else. I'm going to stop them. But until I do, I need you both protected. Zuri had been listening from a bed. She pulled out a small notebook from her backpack. Mr. Ethan, I wrote down stuff like you said, about noticing things. She handed him the notebook. Inside, in careful child's handwriting, were observations from both events. Times, descriptions, details he'd missed. At the bottom of one page, same delivery truck at museum and rooftop. Letters on side. GH Catering Supplies. GH, Ethan said. Gavin Hale. Is that important? Zuri asked. Very important. You're brilliant, Zuri. She beamed, then grew serious. Are we in trouble because I helped you? No, you did the right thing. I'm going to make sure nothing bad happens to you or your aunt. I promise. That evening, Nora called with her first findings. Your fiancé's wellness company is interesting. On paper, it's clean. But there's a web of consultants and contractors that doesn't make sense for a company that size. I found links to 3 shell companies, all registered in Delaware, all created in the last 8 months. Since she and I got serious. Exactly. There's also a storage unit rented under one of the contractors' names, paid for by one of the shells. I'm heading there tonight with a forensic team. Be careful. Always am. Oh, and Mr. Carlisle? I looked into Gavin Hale. He's got a history. Nothing convicted, but accusations. 2 previous business partners claimed he tried to force them out using increasingly aggressive tactics. One mentioned being drugged at a business dinner, though he couldn't prove it. The pattern was becoming clear. This wasn't their first time. Meanwhile, Vanessa was at her apartment having a very different conversation with Gavin. You went to the kid's apartment? She was furious, pacing. What were you thinking? You said she was becoming a problem. I said monitor the situation, not threaten a child in front of witnesses. We need to accelerate the timeline, Gavin said. He's getting suspicious. He's always been suspicious. That's what makes this challenging. She stopped pacing, thinking. We push the wedding up. Create a sense of urgency. Romance, passion. Sweep him along before he can think too much. And if he refuses, then we go to plan B. Higher doses, more frequent. Make him seem truly unstable. Get the guardianship through a psychiatric hold if necessary. The kid, she's a problem. But we can't do anything obvious. Too many eyes now. Vanessa smiled coldly. Accidents, though. Children have accidents all the time. Back at the hotel, Ethan had brought Marina Cole to meet with Lila and Zuri. Marina was warm but professional, explaining in simple terms how they would stay safe. Think of it like a game, Marina told Zuri. We're going to practice being aware of our surroundings, knowing where exits are, staying close to safe adults. Like a spy, Zuri asked. Exactly like a spy. While Marina worked with them, Ethan met with Dr. Kwan in the hotel's business center. The tea tested positive, Kwan said. Same benzodiazepine, but a higher concentration. If you'd drunk all of it, you would have been significantly impaired within an hour. Impaired enough to sign documents without fully understanding them? Absolutely. You might have appeared drunk or extremely tired. Your judgment would be compromised, but you'd still be functional enough to hold a pen. Ethan's phone buzzed. Vanessa, I've been thinking. You're right to be cautious. Why don't we sign the prenup papers tomorrow? Get everything official before the wedding. That way we both feel secure. He showed the text to Quan, who whistled low. She's moving fast now, because she knows I'm onto her. Ethan typed back. Let's discuss tomorrow. Be very careful, Mr. Carlisle. Corner predators are the most dangerous. 3 days later, Vanessa had orchestrated a rehearsal dinner at Le Bernardin, one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. She'd invited 40 of their closest friends, mostly her contacts, people who would witness Ethan's behavior and could testify to his state of mind if needed. It's not even the rehearsal, Ethan had protested. The wedding is still weeks away. I know, but I want to celebrate us. After all the stress lately, we need something beautiful. Don't we deserve that? Ethan agreed, but only after extensive planning with his team. Priya had worked with the restaurant security to set up legal audio recording in the service areas. Nora had placed 2 of her people on the staff for the evening. They were ready. The afternoon of the dinner, Ethan visited Zuri and Lila in their hotel suite. Zuri was doing homework at the desk, using the new laptop he provided for her schoolwork. How are you both doing? It's like a vacation, Zuri said. Except I miss my friends. This is temporary, I promise. He knelt beside her chair. Zuri, you've helped me so much. You're the bravest person I know. I'm not brave. I just notice things. That's its own kind of bravery. He pulled out a small notebook, leather-bound with her initials on it. I want you to keep noticing things. Write them all down. It's your superpower. She held the notebook like it was precious. Really? Really? Lila watched from the doorway. Mr. Carlisle, can I speak to you? They stepped into the hallway. How long is this going to last? She asked. The hiding the guards? This isn't a life for a child. I know. I'm gathering evidence. Once I have enough, the police will arrest them, and you'll be safe. And if you don't get enough, I will. She studied him. You know, when rich folks usually notice people like us, it's bad news. But you're different. You actually see Zuri, not just as a poor kid who helped you, but as a person. She saved my life. Twice. No, Lila said. She gave you the chance to save yourself. There's a difference. That evening, the rehearsal dinner was in full swing. Vanessa had outdone herself. Flowers on every surface, a string quartet, champagne flowing freely. She wore a silver dress that caught the light, making her look almost ethereal. You look beautiful, Ethan told her, playing his part. And you look stressed, she said, straightening his tie. Dear, I had the bartender make you something special. My own recipe, herbs and adaptogens to help you relax. She handed him a green-tinted cocktail. Ethan smiled, raised it to his lips, then set it down as someone called his name. Ethan, so good to see you. One of his actual friends, Robert, had arrived. As Ethan turned to greet him, a busboy, one of Nora's plants, swooped in and took the glass by accident. Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. Let me get you a fresh one. No need, Ethan said. I'll just have whiskey. Vanessa's jaw tightened slightly. Of course, darling. In the service corridor, Nora's operative carefully bagged the green cocktail and swabbed the rim. He whispered into his wire. Sample secured. The dinner progressed smoothly on the surface. Vanessa gave a touching speech about love and trust. Gavin told embarrassing stories about Ethan that he'd clearly researched rather than experienced. The guests laughed and applauded at all the right moments. But underneath, a different game was playing. In the prep kitchen, audio caught a conversation between 2 bartenders. Did you switch the tonic into the right glass? Which one was I supposed to use? The one with the little mark on the base. Jesus, weren't you listening? There were 3 glasses with marks. The opal mark, not the silver. Meanwhile, Gavin was pressuring the maitre d'. My sister ordered a special case of wine. It should have been delivered to the back. Can you check? The maitre d', who had been briefed by Priya, played along. Of course, Mr. Hale. Let me verify that delivery. Nora, listening from her van outside, texted Priya, he's trying to get something into the building off books. Back in the dining room, Vanessa was telling their love story to the assembled guests. Ethan saved me, she said, her voice carrying perfectly. I was going through such anxiety, such darkness, and he brought light into my life. And now I get to return that favor, keeping him grounded when his work threatens to consume him. He needs me to keep him balanced." The words were loving on the surface, but Ethan heard the underlying message. She was establishing a narrative. He was unstable without her. He needed her management. "That's beautiful," someone said. "It's true," Vanessa continued. "Just last week, poor Ethan was so stressed he was seeing threats everywhere, imagining people were trying to hurt him. I've been working with him on it, using meditation and natural supplements to help calm his mind." Several guests made sympathetic noises. Ethan realized what she was doing, planting seeds of doubt about his mental state. He stood. "Vanessa's being modest," he said smoothly. "She's been incredible. Though I should clarify, the threats weren't imagined. Someone did try to drug me. Twice. We have evidence." The room went quiet. Vanessa laughed, but it sounded forced. "Darling, we discussed this. Those were just unwashed glasses, with benzodiazepine residue on them, confirmed by laboratory testing." Gavin stood abruptly. "I think Ethan might be feeling overwhelmed. Perhaps we should." "I'm feeling perfectly clear," Ethan said. "Clearer than I have in months, actually. Amazing what happens when you stop taking someone's wellness supplements." Vanessa's face had gone pale. "Ethan, you're embarrassing yourself." "No, I'm telling the truth. Something you might want to try." His phone buzzed. "Priya, get out. Now." Nora found something. "If you'll all excuse me," Ethan said. "I need to take care of something." He walked out, leaving chaos behind him. Vanessa followed him to the street. "What are you doing?" she hissed. "Those are our friends in there. Your friends. You're witnesses to my supposed instability. You're paranoid." "No, I'm done." He looked at her, really looked at her. "Whatever you're planning, it's over." For a moment, her mask dropped completely. The woman staring back at him was cold, calculating, furious. "You have no idea what you're doing," she said quietly. "You're going to regret this." "The only thing I regret is not listening to Zuri the first time she warned me." At the mention of the child's name, Vanessa smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Be careful, Ethan. Accidents happen, especially to children who poke their noses where they don't belong. If anything happens to her..." "What? You'll what?" She stepped closer. "You have no proof of anything except your own paranoia. I'm a respected businesswoman. You're a stressed executive having a breakdown. Who do you think people will believe?" A van pulled up. Nora stepped out. "Mr. Carlisle, we need to go." Vanessa looked between them. "Private investigator? Really, Ethan? This is just sad." As they drove away, Nora filled him in. The storage unit was a gold mine. Rows of those wellness tonics, but hidden behind them, we found pharmaceutical-grade benzodiazepine, the absorption enhancers Dr. Kwan mentioned, and detailed documentation. Delivery schedules that match your events, payment records to various contractors. And Ethan, we found practice signatures. "What? Your signature?" "Someone's been practicing forging it. There are dozens of attempts, getting progressively better." Ethan felt cold. "For the guardianship papers." "That would be my guess. There's more. We traced the shell companies. They all link back to a master account in the Caymans. And that account has received several large transfers from life insurance companies." "Life insurance?" "3 policies on you, all taken out in the last 6 months. Vanessa is the beneficiary." The full scope of it hit him. This wasn't just about control or money. If the guardianship plan failed, if he became too difficult to manage, they were going to kill me. Eventually, probably, after they drained what they could through the guardianship. Make it look like suicide during a mental health crisis, maybe, or an accidental overdose. Ethan's phone rang. It was Marina. "Mr. Carlisle? I'm with Zuri and Lila. Someone's been watching the hotel. Same man from their apartment building." "Gavin?" "No, someone else. Young guy, scar over his left eyebrow." Ethan remembered Zuri's notebook. She'd mentioned that scar. "Get them out. Now. Bring them to the backup location." Already moving. As Marina evacuated Zuri and Lila, Ethan made a decision. "Nora, how much evidence do we have?" "Enough to raise serious questions. Maybe not enough for conviction yet. Then we need more. And we need them to incriminate themselves." What are you thinking? The wedding is in 3 days. They'll make their move then. They have to. I've shown my hand. They know I'm suspicious. They'll either run or accelerate their plan. That's dangerous. Not if we control the venue, the staff, everything. He pulled out his phone. Priya, I need you to contact the venue. We're going to need full cooperation. And get Dr. Kwan on standby with field testing equipment. Ethan, Nora said, you're using yourself as bait. No, I'm ending this. Once and for all. Across town, Vanessa was in crisis mode with Gavin. He knows, Gavin said. We should cut our losses and run. No, we're too close. 3 days until the wedding. We just need him impaired enough to sign the papers. He won't drink anything we give him now. Then we increase the dose in something he won't expect. The venue's water supply. The air fresheners in his dressing room. Something. This is getting too risky. $2 million in life insurance plus half his assets through the divorce after we get guardianship. That's not risky, that's retirement. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling our friend at the venue. We're going to make sure Ethan Carlisle either signs those papers or has such a public breakdown that no one questions when he's institutionalized. And the kid, after the wedding, a tragique accident, hit and run maybe, the aunt too, if necessary. Neither of them noticed the small drone outside the window, its camera recording everything. Nora's tech specialist sat in a van 3 blocks away, smiling grimly. Got it all, he said into his calm, clear as day. The trap was set. The wedding day would be the final showdown. But this time, Ethan would be ready. This time, he had a team. And most importantly, this time he had proof. In her hotel room, Zuri sat with her notebook, writing down everything she'd seen. The man with the scar. The delivery truck. The way Vanessa's smile never reached her eyes. She didn't understand all of it, but she knew something big was happening. And she knew Mr. Ethan needed her help. Aunt Lila, she said, I think the bad people are going to do something at the wedding. What makes you say that, baby? Because that's when everyone's watching. And bad people like an audience. Lila hugged her niece closer. You're too smart for your own good. You know that. Mr. Ethan said it's my superpower. Well, let's hope that superpower keeps everyone safe. Outside, Marina checked her phone. The security team was in place. The venue was secure. The trap was ready. 3 days until the wedding. 3 days until everything would be revealed. The true faces would finally be shown. The morning after the rehearsal dinner, Nora's team worked through the night, documenting everything from the storage unit. Under harsh fluorescent lights, they photographed each shelf, each box, each damning piece of evidence. Look at this, one of Nora's investigators said, holding up a manifest. These delivery dates don't just match Mr. Carlisle's events. They match 3 other names. Nora looked closer. Other victims? Looks like it. 2 settled divorces with massive payouts. 1 death ruled accidental overdose. Jesus, this really isn't their first time. She called Ethan immediately. We need to talk. Not on the phone. They met at a neutral location, a diner in Queens where neither of them would be recognized. Nora slid a file across the table. Your fiancée and her brother have done this before. At least 3 times that we can trace. The pattern's always the same. Romance, gradual impairment, then either a favorable divorce settlement or death. The last one, Marcus Webb, was a tech entrepreneur. Died 8 months after marrying Vanessa's college roommate. Overdose of anxiety medication. The roommate inherited everything, then transferred half to an offshore account that we've now linked to Gavin. Ethan felt sick. We need to stop them. We need more than evidence of past crimes. We need them actively committing a crime. On tape. Undeniable. The wedding. Exactly. But first, we need to flip someone on the inside. That afternoon, Nora cornered Diego Padilla at a coffee shop in Brooklyn. He was nervous, sweating despite the air conditioning. She'd done her homework. He had a daughter, child support payments, a mother with medical bills. Diego, she said, sliding into the booth across from him. We need to talk about your delivery job. I don't know what you're talking about. She placed photos on the table. Him at the storage unit. Him delivering boxes to the rehearsal dinner. Him taking cash from Gavin. Conspiracy to commit poisoning carries 15 to 20 years. Your daughter would be in college by the time you got out. His hands shook as he reached for his coffee. But, Nora continued, if you cooperate, if you help us prevent a crime, the DA might be willing to work with you. They'll kill me. They're going to kill Ethan Carlisle. And probably that little girl who keeps interfering. You have a daughter. How do you feel about people who hurt children? Diego's face crumpled. I didn't know it was poison at first. They said it was just supplements. Wellness stuff. By the time I figured it out, I was in too deep. Tell me about the sticker system. He took a shaky breath. Silver stickers mean clean. Opal means dosed. There's a third one, black. That's for the heavy doses. The ones that could really hurt someone. Have you delivered any black stickered items? Not yet. But Gavin called yesterday. Said to prepare a black batch for the wedding. For the toast. Nora leaned forward. Diego, I need you to make that delivery. But you gotta be wearing a wire. Meanwhile, Vanessa was meeting with her lawyer, trying to maintain her composure. Ethan's clearly having a breakdown, she said. That scene at the rehearsal dinner, accusing me of trying to poison him? He needs help. The lawyer, an older man who'd known Vanessa's family for years, nodded sympathetically. We could file for an emergency psychiatric hold. If he's a danger to himself or others. I just want him to get help. I love him despite everything. She dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. The wedding is in 2 days. Should we postpone? That might be wise. No, she said quickly. I mean, maybe going through with it would help ground him. Remind him of our love, our commitment. And if he has an episode at the wedding, in front of all those people, well, that would make the need for intervention undeniable, wouldn't it? The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Vanessa, you're not planning to provoke an episode, are you? Of course not. I just want to be prepared for all possibilities. After the lawyer left, she called Gavin. We're moving forward. Full dose at the wedding. Make sure the paperwork is ready. The guardianship forms? Everything. Power of attorney, medical directives, all of it. If he's impaired enough, we can get him to sign. If he refuses or makes a scene, we have 200 witnesses to his instability. What about the PI? Nora Briggs. She's got nothing without the kids' testimony. And kids are unreliable witnesses, especially traumatized ones. Meaning accidents happen, Gavin, even at weddings. At the safe hotel, Ethan was meeting with Zuri and Lila. Marina had brought in a child psychologist who specialized in witness preparation, but Ethan wanted to talk to Zuri himself first. The wedding is in 2 days, he said gently. The bad people are going to try something there. But we'll be ready. Will I be there? Zuri asked. No, it's too dangerous. But I can help. I notice things. You've already helped more than you know. But I need you safe. Zuri pulled out her notebook. I drew something. She showed him a detailed sketch of the man with the scar. I saw him again. From a window. He was watching the hotel. Ethan studied the drawing. The kid had real talent. She captured details down to a small tattoo on the man's neck. This is excellent, Zuri. Can I keep this? She nodded. Mr. Ethan? Are you scared? Yes. But you're still going to stop them? Yes. That's what makes you a hero. Like in my comics. Heroes are scared, but they do the right thing anyway. Lila watched from the doorway. Mr. Carlisle, can I ask you something? When this is over, what happens to us? What do you mean? People like you don't stay in people like us lives. You'll go back to your world. We'll go back to ours. That's how it works. Not this time, Ethan said. Zuri saved my life. That creates a bond. A permanent one. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, I'll be there. We don't want charity. It's not charity. It's family. The kind you choose. That evening, Dr. Kwan met with the team to explain his field testing setup. I'll have rapid test strips positioned throughout the venue, he said. Any drink, any food, I can test within 30 seconds. We'll also have medical personnel on standby in case someone actually ingests something. The goal is to catch them in the act, Nora added. But safely. No one actually drinks anything poisoned. Priya had been working with the venue staff. Every single employee has been vetted. We've replaced the usual bartenders with undercover officers. The catering staff includes 6 of Nora's people. What about guests? Ethan asked. We can't control everyone. But the key players, Vanessa, Gavin, their core team. They'll be covered by cameras from every angle. And Diego? He's ready, Nora said. Terrified, but ready. He'll deliver the black stickered items tomorrow for wedding prep. We'll track everything. Ethan's phone buzzed. A text for Vanessa. I know you're upset, but please don't call off the wedding. I love you. Let me prove it. He showed it to the team. She's trying to seem like the victim, Priya said, building her narrative. Let her, Ethan replied. He texted back. The wedding is still on. We need to talk things through. Vanessa responded immediately. Thank you. You won't regret this. Oh, I think someone's going to regret it, Nora muttered. The next morning, one day before the wedding, Diego met Gavin at a warehouse in Queens. He was wearing a wire, his hands steady despite his fear. You got the stuff? Gavin asked. 3 cases. Just like you asked. Show me. Diego opened a case. Inside were bottles of champagne, each with a tiny sticker on the base. Most were silver. 6 were opal. 1 was black. The black one goes to Carlisle for the toast, Gavin said. No mistakes. What's in it? Diego asked, playing his part. Nothing you need to worry about. Just vitamins. Gavin smiled coldly. Strong vitamins. Strong enough to help someone relax. Permanently, if necessary. In the van outside, Nora and her team exchanged glances. That was as close to a confession as they were likely to get. Gavin continued. There's been a change of plan. We need you at the venue tonight for setup. My sister wants everything perfect. Tonight? But the wedding's tomorrow. Tonight we prep. Tomorrow we execute. You'll be paid double. After Gavin left, Diego sat in his car, shaking. Nora appeared at his window. You did good, she said. One more day. Can you handle it? Do I have a choice? There's always a choice. But only one of them keeps you out of prison and that little girl alive. That evening, the venue was a controlled chaos of preparation. Flowers were being arranged, tables set, lights tested. Among the legitimate workers, Nora's people moved seamlessly, cameras hidden in bouquets, microphones and centerpieces. Vanessa arrived at 9 p.m., every inch the anxious bride. Everything has to be perfect, she told the coordinator. Absolutely perfect. She walked through the space, adjusting flowers, tasting food, checking sightlines. She stopped at the bar. The champagne for the toast, she said. Where is it? In the cooler, Ms. Hale. Your brother had it delivered. Show me. They brought out the case. She examined each bottle, her fingers finding the tiny stickers. She pulled out the black sticker bottle. This one, she said. This goes to the head table. For Ethan. It's his favorite vintage. The bartender, actually an undercover cop, nodded. Understood, Mom. After she left, Dr. Kwan appeared from the back room and carefully extracted a sample from the black stickered bottle through the cork. I'll have results within the hour, he said. At 11 p.m., Ethan stood in his hotel room, looking out at the city lights. Tomorrow, everything would end, one way or another. Priya knocked and entered. You should sleep. Can't. Ethan, are you sure about this? We have enough evidence. We could call the police now. And have them lawyer up? Claim it's all a misunderstanding? No. I want them caught in the act. Undeniably. I want Zuri safe forever, not just for now. You're risking a lot for that little girl. She risked everything for me. A stranger in a suit. She could have stayed quiet, stayed safe. But she didn't. You're a good man, Ethan Carlisle. I'm trying to be. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear. Ethan stood in his dressing room at the venue, surrounded by his real friends, the few Vanessa hadn't managed to alienate or exclude. Robert was there as his best man, trying to keep things light. You sure about this? Robert asked quietly. More sure than I've ever been. In another room, Vanessa was being helped into her dress, a stunning white creation that cost more than most people's cars. Her bridesmaids fluttered around her, touching up makeup, adjusting her veil. You look perfect, one of them gushed. I better, Vanessa said. This is the most important day of my life. She meant it, though not in the way they thought. Gavin appeared at the door. Can I talk to my sister alone? When the bridesmaids left, his expression turned serious. Diego's here. Everything's in place. The black bottle? Ready for the toast. The coordinator knows to serve it to Ethan specifically. And the backup plan? If he doesn't drink, if something goes wrong, I have the emergency dose. He patted his pocket. Injectable. Works in seconds. That's assault, Gavin. Too risky. So, is letting him walk away with evidence. We're committed now, Vanessa. All or nothing. She looked at herself in the mirror, adjusted her veil. Then we make sure he drinks the champagne. In the security van outside, Nora monitored the feeds. About eyes on both of them. Audio's clear. Diego just arrived. One of her team reported. He's in position. Ethan's phone buzzed. A text from Marina. Zuri and Lila are secure. The girl wanted me to tell you she's watching the news. She says be careful. He smiled despite his nerves. Even from a safe house across town, Zuri was still looking out for him. The guests began arriving. 200 of New York's elite, here to witness what they thought was a fairy tale wedding. Among them, strategically placed, were undercover officers, federal agents Nora had called in favors with, and a handful of prosecutors ready to act the moment they had cause. Dr. Kwan was stationed in a prep room with his field equipment. The test on the black bottle had confirmed their worst fears. The dose was potentially lethal. A concentrated mix of benzodiazepines and something else, something that would make it look like a heart attack or stroke. They're not playing around, he told Nora. This isn't about impairment anymore. This is attempted murder. The ceremony was set for 2 p.m. At 1:30, Ethan stood at the altar, watching the room fill. His heart was pounding, but his hands were steady. Robert stood beside him. You know, Robert whispered, when you said you wanted a memorable wedding, this isn't what I pictured. Trust me, no one's going to forget this. The music changed. The bridesmaids began their procession. Then, the wedding march began, and Vanessa appeared at the back of the room. She was radiant. Every inch the perfect bride. She walked slowly, savoring the moment, her eyes locked on Ethan. To the guests, it looked like love. But Ethan saw the calculation, the cold triumph. She reached the altar, took his hands. They felt like ice. You look beautiful, he said, loud enough for the microphones to catch. And you look nervous, she replied softly. Don't be. Everything's going to be perfect. The officiant began the ceremony. Ethan barely heard the words. He was watching Gavin, who kept checking his watch, touching his pocket. He was watching the bar, where Diego stood ready with the champagne. If anyone has any reason why these two should not be joined, the officiant said, speak now or forever hold your peace. Silence. Ethan almost laughed. If only they knew. The rings, please. They exchanged rings. Vanessa's hands were steady as she slid the band onto his finger. You may kiss the bride. Ethan leaned in, kissed her briefly. Her lips were cold. The room erupted in applause. They turned to face their guests as husband and wife. Vanessa beamed. Ethan smiled, playing his part. Ladies and gentlemen, the coordinator announced, please join us for the reception in the main ballroom. As they walked down the aisle, Vanessa whispered, see? Perfect. So far. Ethan replied. The reception was lavish. A band played, guests mingled, and champagne flowed. But the real moment everyone was waiting for was the toast. At 3 p.m., the coordinator called for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise your glasses for a toast to the happy couple. Diego appeared with a tray. On it were 2 glasses, one with a silver sticker hidden on its base, one with black. He moved toward the head table. In the security van, Nora spoke in her calm, all units stand by. Wait for the handoff. Diego reached the table. His hands were shaking slightly as he offered the tray to Ethan and Vanessa. For you, sir, he said, specifically indicating the black sticker glass. Ethan reached for it, then at the last second, switched his hand to the silver glass. Actually, I'll take this one. Vanessa's eyes flashed. Darling, that one was poured specially for you. I insist, Ethan said, pushing the black glass toward her. Ladies first. A moment of tension. The room held its breath without knowing why. How gallant, Vanessa said. She took the black glass, but didn't raise it. Actually, I think we should share. A sip from each other's glasses. It's tradition. She was trying to switch them back. Ethan smiled. What a lovely idea. He took both glasses, set them on the table. But first, I have something to say. He stood, addressing the room. Thank you all for being here, for witnessing this. You know, my bride saved me. She's absolutely right about that. She saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. Vanessa's smile flickered. You see, Ethan continued, Vanessa has been medicating me for months. Tiny doses of benzodiazepines in my drinks, my food, my vitamins. Trying to make me appear unstable, forgetful, impaired. Gasps rippled through the room. Vanessa stood. Ethan, you're having an episode. The only episode I'm having is of clarity. He picked up the black sticker glass. This champagne, for instance. Vanessa specifically ordered it for me. It contains enough poison to kill me. That's insane. Vanessa protested. Someone call a doctor. He's delusional. Am I? Ethan pulled out his phone, connected it to the room speaker system. Let's hear what you said last night. Vanessa's voice filled the room from the recording. The black bottle goes to Ethan for the toast. Make sure he drinks it all. Then Gavin's voice, strong enough to help someone relax. Permanently, if necessary. The room exploded in shocked murmurs. Several guests stepped back from the head table. That's taken out of context, Vanessa said desperately. Dr. Kwan stepped forward with his field kit. I can test the champagne right now. Would you like me to, Mrs. Carlisle? Don't you dare call me that. Vanessa snarled, her mask finally dropping completely. She lunged for the black glass, trying to throw it, destroy the evidence. But Robert caught her wrist, held it firmly. I don't think so, he said. Gavin stood from his table, reaching into his pocket. Nobody move. He pulled out a syringe, held it up. This is concentrated. Enough to drop someone in seconds. Everyone stays calm, or what? Nora appeared behind him with 2 federal agents. You'll assault someone with a deadly weapon in front of 200 witnesses and a dozen cameras. Gavin spun, tried to run. He made it 3 steps before an undercover officer tackled him to the ground. The syringe skittered across the floor. Vanessa watched her brother fall, then turned to Ethan. Her face was no longer beautiful. It was twisted with rage. You set me up. No, you set yourself up. I just made sure everyone could see it. The police moved in then. As they cuffed Vanessa, she started screaming. He's lying. He's crazy. I was trying to help him. This is all a misunderstanding. But Diego stepped forward, his voice shaking but clear. It's not a misunderstanding. I delivered the poison. They paid me. I have receipts, recordings, everything. As Vanessa was led away, still screaming, Ethan heard her say one last thing. The kid. This is all because of that kid. He pulled out his phone immediately, called Marina. Are they safe? Safe and watching the news. Zuri says to tell you she knew you'd win. The reception hall was in chaos. Guests were giving statements, cameras were flashing, and somewhere in the mess, someone had called the media. Within an hour, it would be on every news channel in the city. Ethan stood in the center of it all, finally able to breathe. Robert clapped him on the shoulder. Hell of a wedding, buddy. Not quite the fairy tale ending everyone expected. No, it's better. It's justice. Dr. Kwan appeared with his test results. The black champagne contained enough poison to kill you within an hour. It would have looked like a heart attack if you drunk even half of it. But I didn't, thanks to an 8-year-old girl who taught me to pay attention. That evening, after the police had gone, after the guests had dispersed, after the venue had been cleared, Ethan sat alone in his car. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving him exhausted but clear-headed for the first time in months. His phone rang. It was Marina. Someone wants to talk to you, she said. Zuri's voice came through the speaker. Mr. Ethan, are you okay? I'm okay, Zuri. Thanks to you. I saw on the news. The bad lady got arrested. She did. She can't hurt anyone anymore. Are you sad? Because she was supposed to be your wife? Ethan thought about it. No, I'm not sad. I'm grateful. Grateful I learned the truth. Grateful you were brave enough to warn me. So what happens now? Now you and your aunt come home. The danger is over. And then we figure out what comes next. Together. Like a family? Exactly like a family. He could hear her smile through the phone. I'd like that. Me too, Zuri. Me too. As he drove home, Ethan thought about masks and true faces, about the family you're born with and the family you choose. Vanessa had shown him her true face in the end. Cold, calculating, murderous. But Zuri had shown hers too, brave, observant, heroic. He knew which one he wanted in his life. The wedding might have been a disaster, but the ending? The ending was perfect. The wedding venue had become a crime scene. Yellow tape blocked doorways, forensic teams dusted for fingerprints, and prosecutors huddled with witnesses. In a quiet side room, Ethan sat with Nora and a federal prosecutor named James Harrison. "We have them dead to rights," Harrison said. "The recordings, the physical evidence, 200 witnesses. But I want everything. Every victim, every crime, every penny they stole." "Diego's cooperating fully," Nora reported. "He's given us names, dates, delivery schedules going back 8 months. And here's the interesting part. Vanessa's COO, Patricia Morse, just called. She wants to make a deal." "Bring her in," Harrison said. Patricia Morse arrived an hour later, her lawyer in tow. She looked exhausted, defeated. The woman who'd helped run Vanessa's wellness empire now sat across from prosecutors ready to burn it all down. "My client has information," her lawyer began. "In exchange for immunity." "Reduced charges," Harrison countered. "She was part of a conspiracy to commit murder. Immunity's off the table." Patricia leaned forward. "I have recordings. Vanessa didn't know, but I recorded our planning meetings. Insurance, in case she threw me under the bus." Nora's eyes sharpened. "How many recordings?" 6 months' worth, including one where she explicitly discusses dosing schedules to make Ethan sign papers, and another where she and Gavin plan what they call the permanent solution. "We're listening," Harrison said. Patricia pulled out a flash drive. "It's all here, plus financial records showing she did this 3 times before. The victims, Marcus Webb, David Park, and Jennifer Santos. She used different methods each time, got smarter with each one." "You knew about the previous victims?" Ethan asked, disgusted. "I figured it out after I was already involved. By then, I was trapped. She had things on me, too." "What things?" Patricia looked at her lawyer, who nodded. "I embezzled from my previous employer. Small amount, but Vanessa found out. She held it over me." As Patricia laid out the full scope of the conspiracy, Ethan's phone buzzed. Marina texted, "Someone you need to see." He excused himself and found Marina in the lobby with Zuri and Lila. Zuri ran to him, throwing her arms around his waist. "You're okay," she said. "I'm okay. You don't need to worry anymore." Lila stood back, watching. "Mr. Carlisle, we saw the news. They're saying you're a hero for exposing her." "I'm not the hero," Ethan said, kneeling to Zuri's level. "This brave girl is. She saw what nobody else did." "I just noticed things," Zuri said shyly. "You saved my life. Multiple times." A reporter who'd managed to get inside noticed them, started moving closer with her camera crew. Ethan stood, shielding Zuri. "No pictures of the child," he said firmly. "This is non-negotiable. Mr. Carlisle, the public wants to know about the hero who saved you. The public doesn't need to traumatize an 8-year-old. Back off." Security moved in, escorting the reporter out. But Ethan knew this was just the beginning. The story was already viral. Billionaire's bride tries to poison him, saved by observant child. "We need to get you somewhere safe," he told Lila. "Away from the media's circus. We could go back to our apartment." "No, they'll camp outside your building. I have a place upstate. Guest house, very private. You can stay there until this dies down. We can't accept. Please. Zuri's safety comes first. Let me do this." Back in the interrogation room, Vanessa had stopped screaming and started calculating. Her new lawyer, the family attorney had dropped her the moment the news broke, was trying to build a defense. "My client was manipulated by her brother," he argued. "She had no knowledge of any poison." Harrison played the recording from the wedding prep night. Vanessa's voice filled the room. "The black bottle goes to Ethan for the toast." That was about champagne preference. Another recording, this one from Patricia's collection. Vanessa's voice again. "If the gradual dosing doesn't work, we accelerate. Lethal dose, make it look like suicide. Depressed billionaire, stress from work." No one would question it. Vanessa's face remained stone cold. "I want a deal." "You're joking," Harrison said. "I have information about Gavin's other operations. Art forgery, money laundering, 2 murders you don't even know about. Your brother's crimes don't erase yours. No, but they had context. I was coerced. Gavin's been controlling me since we were children. I have proof. Medical records, therapy notes. Chronic abuse, Stockholm Syndrome. You seemed pretty in control when you were planning my death, Ethan said from the doorway. Vanessa's eyes locked on his. Ethan, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're a predator. You've done this before, and you would have done it again. I loved you. You love my money. You love the control. You saw me as a mark, nothing more. That child poisoned you against me. That child saved me from you. He turned to Harrison. Whatever deal she's offering, remember she was planning to kill Zuri too. An 8-year-old girl. Don't forget that. In another room, Gavin was taking a different approach, complete denial. I want to see my sister, he demanded. This is all a misunderstanding. The prosecutor played Diego's wire recording. Gavin's voice, strong enough to help someone relax. Permanently, if necessary. That was about meditation supplements. The syringe you pulled at the wedding? Insulin. I'm diabetic. Tests show it was concentrated benzodiazepine. Enough to cause immediate respiratory failure. Gavin's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Finally, Gavin said, I want to make a deal. Everyone wants a deal today, Harrison muttered. What do you have? Everything. Vanessa's previous victims, where the bodies are really buried. And I mean that literally for Marcus Webb. He didn't overdose accidentally. Vanessa injected him herself. I have video. Even Harrison looked shocked. You recorded your sister committing murder? Insurance policy. She's my sister, but she's also a monster. I needed protection. Where's this video? Safety deposit box. I'll give you the location and key in exchange for manslaughter instead of attempted murder. We'll consider it after we see the video. That evening, Ethan stood in his empty townhouse. The place felt different now, like a crime scene itself. Every surface Vanessa had touched, every gift she'd given him, every photo of them together, it all felt contaminated. Priya arrived with boxes. I thought you might want to clear out her things. Burn them. That's a bit dramatic. So, was trying to murder me. They worked in silence for a while, packing up Vanessa's belongings. In her vanity drawer, Priya found something interesting, a journal. Ethan, look at this. The journal detailed Vanessa's plans, going back a full year. She'd targeted him specifically, researched his loneliness after his father's death, his patterns, his vulnerabilities. There were notes about dosing schedules, about the prenup timing, about making him appear unstable. One entry stood out, more resistant than expected. The child's interference is a problem. May need to eliminate her before the wedding. Make it look accidental. Hit and run. Fighting accident? G says he knows someone. Ethan felt sick. She was planning to kill Zuri. This is evidence. Harrison needs to see it. Make copies first. I want insurance too. His phone rang. It was Dr. Kwan. Mr. Carlisle, I've completed the toxicology analysis on all the samples. You need to know, you've been exposed to significantly more than we initially thought. The cumulative effect, you're lucky to be alive. What do you mean? The doses in your system, if they continued for another month, would have caused permanent cognitive damage. Maybe worse. Someone was very carefully calibrating your decline. Vanessa. The precision suggests medical knowledge. Has she had training? Ethan remembered something. She mentioned taking pre-med courses before switching to business. That explains it. She knew exactly what she was doing. After Kwan hung up, Ethan sat in his empty house, processing everything. The woman he'd been going to marry had been slowly, methodically trying to destroy him, and she'd nearly succeeded. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He opened it and found a video message from Zuri. Hi, Mr. Ethan. Aunt Lila said I could send you this. Your guest house is so nice. There's a whole library and a kitchen with a dishwasher. Aunt Lila cried happy tears. Thank you for keeping us safe. You're the best hero ever. Even better than Spider-Man. Despite everything, Ethan smiled. That little girl's joy, her resilience, reminded him why fighting back had been worth it. 3 weeks later, the case was national news. Black Widow billionaire bride, the tabloids called Vanessa. The story had everything: wealth, betrayal, attempted murder, and a hero child who saved the day. Ethan sat in the prosecutor's office, reviewing the charges. The list was extensive: attempted murder, conspiracy, fraud, forgery, poisoning, witness intimidation. With Patricia's recordings and Gavin's video evidence, conviction was all but certain. Vanessa's trying to plead insanity, Harrison told him. Claims she has a dissociative disorder. Will it work? Not a chance. The journal you found shows clear premeditation. The previous victims establish a pattern. She's looking at life without parole. And Gavin, 25 to life with possibility of parole after 15. His cooperation bought him something, but not much. What about the others? The COO, Diego. Patricia Morse gets 5 to 7. Diego gets probation and community service. His cooperation was crucial, and he was more victim than perpetrator. Ethan nodded. It wasn't perfect justice, but it was justice. That afternoon, he drove upstate to the guest house. Zuri was in the garden, painting in an easel he'd had delivered. Her tongue stuck out slightly as she concentrated, adding purple to a sunset. "That's beautiful," he said. She beamed. "It's for you. For your office. I'll hang it behind my desk." Lila came out with lemonade. "Mr. Carlisle, we need to talk about next steps. We can't live in your guest house forever." "Why not?" "Because that's not how life works. We need to get back to our own life. What if I have a proposal?" Ethan sat down. Zuri's gifted, truly gifted. Not just her observation skills, but her art, her intelligence. She deserves opportunities. We don't take charity. Not charity. Investment. There's a program at the Branson Academy, full scholarship for gifted students from underserved communities. I'm on the board. Zuri will be perfect for it. Zuri's eyes went wide. A real art school? Art, science, literature, everything. The best education in the state. And Lila, they need a coordinator for their after-school program. Full benefits, good salary, housing assistance. Lila's eyes filled with tears. "You're offering me a job? I'm offering you both a future. One you've earned." "Mr. Carlisle." "Ethan, we're family now, remember?" 2 months later, the trial began. Ethan testified for 3 days, detailing the slow poisoning, the manipulation, the gaslighting. The prosecution presented the evidence methodically: the recordings, the videos, the journal, the chemical analyses. Vanessa took the stand in her own defense, playing the victim. She cried. She pleaded. She blamed Gavin for everything. But when the prosecutor played the recording of her planning to kill Zuri, even her own lawyer looked disgusted. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Vanessa didn't react. She sat perfectly still as the verdict was read, her face a mask. But as she was led away, she turned to Ethan. "This isn't over," she said quietly. "Yes, it is," he replied. "Life sentence without parole. Gavin got 30 years. Patricia Morse got 7. The others received lesser sentences. Justice, imperfect but final." 6 months after the wedding that wasn't, Ethan stood in a very different venue, the Branson Academy Auditorium. Zuri was on stage, accepting an award for her art project about everyday heroes. "My hero doesn't wear a cape," she read from her prepared speech. "He wears a suit. He listens when kids talk. He keeps his promises. He shows up. My hero is Ethan Carlisle, but he says I'm the real hero. I think we saved each other." The audience applauded. Ethan wiped his eyes, not caring who saw. After the ceremony, there was a small reception. Ethan mingled with other parents and board members, but his attention kept drifting to Zuri, who was showing her artwork to anyone who would look. Dr. Kwan approached him. "You look well. I feel well. Clear. Like myself again. The blood work confirms it. You're completely clean. No lasting damage. Thanks to an 8-year-old girl. Thanks to listening to an 8-year-old girl. There's a difference." Across the room, Lila was talking to other parents, fitting in, thriving. The job at Branson had transformed her life. No more double shifts, no more choosing between rent and groceries. Stability. Safety. Hope. Robert appeared at Ethan's elbow. "So, ready to start dating again?" Ethan laughed. "Not even close. Vanessa really did a number on you. She taught me something valuable. True faces matter more than beautiful masks." "That's deep, buddy." "That's Zuri. She said last week. Kids got more wisdom than most adults. Priya joined them. I have news. The civil suits have been settled. Vanessa's assets have been seized, and the victims' families will receive compensation. Good. There's also this. She handed him a letter. From Marcus Webb's mother. Ethan read it. It was a thank you for exposing Vanessa, for getting justice for her son, for ensuring no one else would suffer. She wants to meet Zuri, Priya added, to thank the girl who stopped Vanessa. I'll ask Lila. Zuri's been through enough. It's her choice. Later, as the reception wound down, Ethan found himself outside, looking at the stars. Zuri appeared beside him, slipping her small hand into his. You okay, Mr. Ethan? I'm good. Just thinking. About the bad lady? About choices. Good ones and bad ones. You made good choices. Eventually. But I almost made a very bad one. But you didn't. That's what matters. She squeezed his hand. Aunt Lila says you can't change the past, but you can choose your future. Your aunt's smart. She says you gave us a new life. You gave me one too. They stood in comfortable silence. Then Zuri said, Mr. Ethan, I'm glad you didn't drink that. Me too, kiddo. Me too. 1 year later, Ethan established the Zuri Washington Foundation for Youth Safety and Awareness. Its mission, to train children to recognize dangerous situations and to ensure their voices are heard when they speak up. At the launch event, Zuri, now 9 and even more confident, spoke to a room full of donors. Adults sometimes think kids don't understand things, she said. But we see everything. We just need people to listen when we try to help. The Foundation's first initiative was a program in schools teaching observation skills and safety awareness. Within 6 months, 3 children in the program identified and reported dangerous situations that saved lives. Vanessa, from her prison cell, watched news coverage of the Foundation launch. She'd aged 10 years and 1. Her beauty faded, her charm useless. She turned off the TV and returned to her cell, where she would spend the rest of her life. Gavin, in a separate facility, tried to write Ethan a letter of apology. He never sent it. Some things couldn't be forgiven. Patricia Morse served her time quietly, cooperating with additional investigations that uncovered 2 more victims they hadn't known about. Diego completed his community service teaching kids about making right choices after wrong ones. He saw Zuri once at a community event and thanked her. For what? She asked. For being brave. You saved more than just Mr. Carlisle. You saved me too. 2 years after that terrible wedding day, Ethan hosted a different kind of celebration. Zuri's 11th birthday party at his home. The townhouse now filled with warmth instead of memories of Vanessa. The guest list was small, but meaningful. Lila, Marina, Priya, Robert, Dr. Kwan, Nora, even Prosecutor Harrison and his family. People who had become their chosen family through crisis and triumph. As Zuri blew out her candles, Ethan asked, What did you wish for? Can't tell you, or it won't come true. Later, she whispered to him, I wish that you'd find someone nice to love. Someone real. I already have, he said, gesturing to the room full of people. Family doesn't always look like what you expect. But don't you want, romance and stuff? Maybe someday, when the right person shows up, someone who shows their true face from the start. How will you know? I'll ask my expert consultant on noticing things. Zuri giggled. That's me. That's you. As the party continued, Ethan stood back and watched. Lila laughing with Marina. Priya teaching Zuri's friends a card trick. Robert attempting to help with dishes. Normal, genuine, real people being themselves. No masks. No games. No poison hidden in beautiful packages. Just truth. Just family. Just life as it should be. The doorbell rang. A delivery person stood there with a small package. Ethan Carlisle? Yes. Sign here, please. Ethan signed and opened the package. Inside was a bottle of champagne and a note. Congratulations on your new beginning. A grateful stranger. He looked at the bottle, then at Zuri, who had appeared at his side. Should we test it? She asked seriously. Always, he said. What do you see? She examined it carefully. No stickers. No residuo. Seal's intact. She grinned. But maybe we should stick to apple juice anyway. Good call. They went back to the party, leaving the champagne unopened. Some lessons, once learned, stayed with you forever. And some heroes came in small packages with sharp eyes and brave hearts. As the sun set over the city, Ethan raised his glass of apple juice in a toast. To truth, he said. To family. To second chances. To noticing things. Zuri added. Everyone laughed and raised their glasses. To noticing things, they agreed. And in that moment, surrounded by people who had proven themselves when it mattered most, Ethan knew he was finally, truly safe. Not because the danger was gone, but because he'd learned to see clearly, to trust the right people, and to listen when someone, no matter how small, said the words that'd save his life. Don't drink that. What would you have done if a child tried to warn you about someone you loved? Would you have listened, or would you have dismissed it as imagination? If this story reminded you that truth often comes from unexpected places, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that will challenge everything you think you know about trust.